Is the bread and butter Loco the power paddle that finally gets Gen 4 foam construction right? Or is it just another hot paddle hiding behind one of, if not the best, marketing in all of pickleball? I've been hitting with all three shapes for over a month now, and here's what I found. This isn't your typical floating core with trampoline-like rebound. The Loco delivers elite level power. We're talking 90th percentile serve speeds across all shapes, but with a plush, controlled response that makes resets and touch shots actually manageable. This is Bread and Butter's first true Gen 4 dual foam paddle built around a floating core design. It's also the return of their beloved Loco name, which got discontinued due to IP issues, but is now back with completely rebuilt internals. Quick disclosure, Bread and Butter sent me these paddles with no strings attached and no expectations. And I've got a discount code, MPB, that drops the price from around $199 to around $180. But as always, I'm going to tell you exactly where this paddle excels and where it falls a little short. The standout numbers tell the story. 59 to 60 miles per hour serve speeds, putting all three shapes in the 90th plus percentile for power, but punch volleys in the middle tier and spin consistently in the upper 70 to 80th percentiles. This is serious firepower with legitimate spin capability, but the rebound is controlled rather than explosive. So let's break down what sets the Loco apart. A floating foam core design built around a dense EPP interior, reinforced with EVA foam along the perimeter to boost stability and extend dwell time. This isn't just marketing language, it's the backbone for how this paddle plays. Here's the key difference from typical Gen 4 builds, and it's how these foams work together. The EPP core handles compression and energy return, while the EVA perimeter provides the pocketing and ball hold that makes touch shots controllable. Think of it as an internal reinforcement that adds stability without creating dead zones. The paddle is thermoformed with a peel-ply raw carbon fiber fiberglass carbon fiber layup. That's a CFC construction. The surface has excellent grit that, combined with ball pocketing, or dwell, provides consistent grip for spin generation without being overly aggressive. All three shapes, elongated, hybrid, and standard, come at 16mm thickness, which is becoming the sweet spot for foam core builds. Compared to Bread and Butter's earlier Gen 2 offerings, the Loco plays more settled and plush at contact. You don't get that hollow ring or unstable rebound you sometimes see in other foam core paddles. What's interesting is that this construction bridges Gen 3 and Gen 4 approaches, like the J2 FC Plus from Honolulu Pickleball. It uses the floating core design of Gen 3 builds, but with the dual foam engineering of Gen 4. The entire core is designed foam that compresses, holds, and returns energy in a controlled way rather than just foam injected into empty corners. The elongated comes in at 16.5 inches long by 7.375 inches wide with a 5.5-inch handle. My test unit weighed 7.91 ounces static with a swing weight of 118.6 and a twist weight of 6.05. The hybrid measures 16.2 inches long by 7.6 inches wide at 8.03 ounces static. The swing weight is 114 and twist weight is 6.75. The standard is 16 inches long by 8 inches wide at 8.11 ounces static, swing weight at 109.9, and the highest twist weight at 7.3. Now, here's where it gets interesting with the performance numbers. Serve speed range from 59.4 to 60.2 miles per hour. That's 90th to 95th percentile across all shapes. Punch volley sits between 37.4 miles per hour, which is middle tier. Spin production consistently hits 2,270 to 2,285 RPM, placing all three in the upper 70th to 80th percentiles. That brings the firepower scores to a range of 70 to 75, confirming this is a legitimate power paddle. What these numbers tell you is that you get elite drive and serve speed, decent pop and hand battles, and strong spin generation, but it's not built for trampoline-style rebound. It's more tempered and controllable. So here's where it gets interesting, and I learned something about my own review process. When I first tested these paddles, I knew nothing about them other than they were foam core paddles, and I made a mistake. I played them outdoors for several days. Now, I almost never do that. Playing outdoors isn't the problem, but changing up how you get your initial impression messes with how you compare paddles to what you already know. I almost always play in my regular indoor venues, and I didn't realize how much changing up where I play would mess with my paddle review calibration. At first, these paddles played very stiff, one note, and I couldn't move the ball where I wanted without significant recalibrations. So I committed to playing them for another week in my normal indoor venues. In Minnesota, you play outside as much as possible because you only get a few months of amazing weather. Anyway, it completely changed my assessment. I could hear the paddles again, I could feel them, and how they played just started to make sense. That's when it clicked that these had to be floating foam cores because they played remarkably similar to the Honolulu Pickleball J2NF and J2 FC Plus. However, what surprised me later was learning there's a fiberglass layer in the surface that I didn't pick up on immediately, like I did with the J2NF, which plays sharper off the face. Once I got them in the right environment and started the playtesting over, The Loco plays dense and controlled. There's real substance behind the hit. It's not springy, not hollow, just a solid, plush compression that gives you time to shape your shot before releasing. Now, one thing I've noticed is that these paddles have a subtle break-in period where they soften up slightly, meaning they actually get more dwelly over time. I played the hybrid about 60% of the time, maybe a little more. The elongated, maybe 40 plus, and the standard, not all that much. What's interesting is the hybrid, which I've used most, now plays softer and more controlled than the elongated, which still plays crisper. However, the standard, having seen the least playtime, remains the stiffest of the three. So there's definitely an evolution where more playtime leads to a more forgiving, dwelly response. Drive power is where the Loco really separates itself. Those 90th plus percentile serve speeds aren't inflated numbers. When you accelerate through the ball, there's serious pace available. The elongated has the most plow through with that higher swing weight and balance point, while the standard gives you quicker hand speed without losing much serve velocity. What surprised me is how manageable it plays despite the power output. Compared to the Selkirk boomstick, the Loco is more predictable and easier to control. There's far less, if any, trampoline. You get that elite power without the runaway pop that can send resets sailing long. Now, pop during hand battle sits in the middle range, 45th to 59th percentile across the shapes. This isn't ultra hot off the hands like some Gen 4 builds like the Flick F1 or Groove and Laser Solid Foam. Instead, you get a softer, more controlled, relatively speaking, rebound that's fast enough to win on counters but not so explosive that it's hard to manage. Spin is a legitimate strength here. That coarse peel-apply surface combined with the foam's ability to pocket the ball gives you excellent grab. RPMs consistently in the upper 70th to 80th percentiles mean you can shape topspin drives and bring balls down with margin. Touch shots play more connected than most power paddles. Drops are easy to dial in and stay on target. Resets don't float, well, most of them anyway. And the sound is low and controlled, more like a settled Gen 3 than a sharper Gen 4. And off-center hits don't cause the paddle to twist as much as they do in lighter builds. Speaking of heat, like a Bozo or Loco, I had one of my Locos in the car when it was 98 degrees outside, and it must have been 150 degrees inside the car for at least 4 hours. The only thing it did to the paddle was temporarily change the sound and response. It got softer, but also punchier. But once it cooled down, it was right back to normal, and I've had no issues. PSA, don't leave your paddles in your hot car. The trade-off is this isn't maximum forgiveness. The elongated especially demands cleaner contact with that lower twist weight, but I also could make a case for the paddle playing more stable than its twist weight suggests. Across all three shapes, the sweet spot is consistent and the response is predictable. Now, shape choice matters significantly with the Loco lineup, so let's break down the differences. The elongated at 16.5 by 7.375 inches delivers maximum reach and leverage with the highest swing weight at 118.6 and a balance point at 24.9 centimeters. This translates to serious plow-through on drives and the fastest serve speeds, but it's less forgiving with that 6.05 twist weight. The hybrid strikes the middle ground at 16.2 by 7.6 inches. Swing weight drops to 114, while the twist weight increases to 6.75, giving you more stability and quicker hand speed. It's the most balanced option, plenty of power with better forgiveness and maneuverability. The standard at 16 by 8 inches has the lowest swing weight at 109.9, but the highest twist weight at 7.3. This makes it the most forgiving and quickest in hand while still delivering elite spin and power output. You sacrifice some reach and leverage, but gain significant stability on off-center hits. All three shapes feature a 4.25-inch grip circumference. In practice, the elongated works best for drivers who want maximum reach and leverage on full swings. The hybrid works for players who want power without committing to the elongated's demands. The standard suits fast-hand players who value forgiveness and quick responses. All three paddles deliver similar power and spin output. The differences are in handling, forgiveness, and how much leverage you get on full strokes. So what does it compare to? Compared to the boomstick, the Loco plays more disciplined. Both deliver elite power, but the Loco has less trampoline effect and more controlled dwell. Where the boomstick can be runaway on touch shots if you're not dialed in, the Loco gives you more time to guide the ball and manage pace. Versus the Honolulu Pickleball J2FC Plus, the Loco brings more raw firepower. The J2FC Plus plays similarly quick and maneuverable, but the Loco has more punch on serves and drives. It's a trade-off between hand speed and power output. Now, we've seen a flood of foam core paddles hit the market recently, and there's usually a trade-off with full foam builds. You get better core durability, but sacrifice some of that connected feel you get from paddles like the YOLO Pro 4, 11624 Alpha Pro Power, or Selkirk SLK Aero Power. It's a fair trade-off for most players, but I've yet to find a full foam paddle that matches the feel of honeycomb builds. The Loco doesn't solve this either. I was chatting with a top PPA pro about why more pros aren't playing full foam paddles, and here's what he told me. The main issue is that pros will always choose the best paddle they can get their hands on, and full foam always seems to be a sacrifice of feel while getting better core durability. Here's the thing about foam construction. It just plays differently than honeycomb core paddles. The feel is distinct. If you love how an 11624 Alpha Pro Power or Yola Pro 4 or SLK Air Power plays due to their honeycomb construction, these are different. Not worse, not better, just different. There's a different feel. That's important to understand before making the switch. Speaking of differences, viewer Rex asked about the Loco's play feel compared to the J2NF, specifically looking for power with a softer response. The J2NF actually plays stiffer despite similar construction and surface layers. Where the Loco has opened up and softened with playtime, offering more dwell, the J2NF has stayed more rigid in my experience. How it plays hasn't evolved. So if you want J2NF level power but with relatively more forgiveness and dwell, check out the Loco. What makes the Loco interesting is that it's a Gen 4 foam paddle with Gen 3 properties due to its floating core design. This gives it more personality and dwell than typical foam core builds, but it still doesn't have that crisp connected response of the best honeycomb paddles. What sets the Loco apart is finding that sweet spot between power and control. You get 90th percentile serve speeds, but can still manage resets and drops without the ball flying long, and that's a unique value proposition. So who's this paddle for? The Loco lineup fits players who want elite power without the unpredictability of a super hot paddle. If you generate your own power and value shot placement over maximum trampoline effect, this delivers serious firepower with enough control to stay accurate. Go with the elongated if you're a driver who wants maximum reach and leverage. You get the most power, but you need cleaner contact and stronger technique to manage the lower forgiveness. The hybrid works for players who want power with balance. It's the most versatile shape, enough to leverage for drives, quick enough for kitchen work, stable enough for consistent performance. Choose the standard if you value forgiveness and hand speed. You'll get elite level spin and power output with the most stability and quickest handling in the lineup. If you've tried the Boomstick or Flick F1 and found them unmanageable due to their higher levels of pop, the Loco gives you nearly the same firepower with more control, so it's more balanced. It's not just bread and butter's best paddle, it's one of the most balanced foam power builds available right now. Now, who should avoid this? If you rely on maximum dwell time for guided touch shots, the Loco may play too direct. Players who need trampoline-style rebound or ultra-soft pocketing will find it more tempered than they're used to. Also not ideal if you want maximum free power. This works best with clean acceleration through the ball. It's earned power rather than effortless pace. The Loco retails for $199 or around $180 with code MPB. That puts it in the competitive Gen 4 price range, but with a 30-day love it or return it guarantee that reduces purchase risk. Check out the details at bnbpickleball.com. For power players who want elite performance with controlled response, it's solid value. The dual foam construction and 3-shape strategy give you options to dial in your preferred balance of power, forgiveness, and handling. The build quality plays premium, and Bread and Butter's trip to China for production oversight suggests they're serious about quality control. They back this with a 6-month warranty on workmanship, not as long as Selkirk's lifetime coverage or some 12-month warranties on other Gen 3 and 4 paddles, but the 30-day trial period where you can fully test this paddle before committing is a plus at this price point. So the bottom line on the Bread and Butter Loco, it delivers elite power with a controlled response, but it's not for players who want maximum dwell or effortless pace. This is a power paddle that works best with good technique and gives you the tools to pressure opponents without sacrificing shot placement. Bread and Butter is releasing the Loco in 6 72-hour pre-order windows starting back on August 20th and running weekly through September 26th. Each batch ships in sequence, which helps them avoid long delays and keep production quality tight. If you want one from the early runs, mark those windows because inventory closes quickly once the pre-order period ends. If you've been looking for a Gen 4 build that hits with elite numbers without being erratic, the Loco is worth consideration, and the shape options let you dial in your preferred balance of power and forgiveness. Use code MPB to save at checkout if you want to try one, and let me know in the comments which shape catches your interest or how it compares to what's currently in your bag. So that's it. That's the Bread and Butter Loco review. If this video helped, consider hitting like and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.